Hello children, welcome to today's English class. Hope you all are safe, healthy and happy at home and doing lot of creative things, making best use of your holidays. In the last 3 classes, we have been learning about tenses and we have learned the 3 different kinds of tenses, the present, the past and the future, and also the 4 different forms of each tense. We also tried to practice some exercises. Children, today we will be learning the reported speech. Let me tell you the exercises which you have this year in your syllabus, that is dialogue writing or completing the dialogue and reporting dialogues, which carries 6 marks. In order to do these type of exercises, you need to be very good in tenses and in reported speech. Why I taught you tenses first and then the reported speech? Because once you understand tenses well, it will be easy for you to understand the different rules of the reported speech. You will easily learn how to change the sentences from direct speech to indirect speech. Let me tell you what is a reported speech. Okay? There are 2 ways in which you can talk about what a person has spoken, or you can express the words of a person in 2 different ways. Let us see what are the 2 different ways. My mother said, I am tired. Okay. So here who is the speaker? My mother. Now this is a comma and these are inverted commas. Now what my mother said? I am tired. Okay. Now if I try to say, my mother said I am tired. Now suppose I am telling my friend what my mother said, and if I say my mother said I am tired. So what would the friend understand from my sentence? That I am tired. My mother said that I am tired. But here I am not tired. My mother is tired. So if you want to tell your friend that your mother is tired, so what do you say? My mother said that she was tired, right? So now look at these 2 different sentences. Here we have written the exact words of the mother in the inverted commas. Okay, these are the exact words of the mother. So it is known as direct speech. Okay, and in the second sentence where we have made some changes, okay, so that the meaning of the sentence does not change, is known as the indirect speech or the reported speech. Okay. Now let's try to look at the second sentence. the mother said. Said is the verb, reporting verb. So, it is the we know that what is a verb? It is the action word. It talks about the different activities or different actions we do, right? So, said is the reporting verb, and I am tired is the speech. Okay. So, what the mother reported or said? I am tired. So, this is the reported speech and this is the reporting verb. Now, I hope it is clear to you what is a reported speech. So, as I told you, we can say what has been said by a person or spoken by a person in two different ways. That is either in the direct speech or in the reported speech. So, if we mention the direct words or the exact words of the speaker, that is known as the direct speech. Okay. Many times when we speak, we say I quote, and then when you finish that particular sentence of the speaker and you say I unquote. You say quote and you say unquote. Okay, because at that particular moment of your speech, you are mentioning the exact words of the speaker. Okay, and the exact words of the speaker is written in inverted commas, inverted commas. And now you have seen certain changes in the second sentence. What did we do? Till here it is the same, right? Since this is in the past tense, I am sure now you are clear about the different tenses. So, I will be talking to you about the tenses also while we are discussing the reported speech. Since this is in the past tense, this also has become the past. I am tired. Now here I, who does this I represent here? The mother. So what have we written here? The pronoun has changed. It has become she. Okay. And this am has become was, and this tired is already in the past tense. So tired. My mother said that she was tired. We saw the changes that we have made in the second sentence. Okay. My mother said that she was tired. So there were changes in the tense. There were changes in the verb, okay, in the pronouns, okay. Now also we have used a conjunction that, okay. So connecting these two, the reporting verb and the reported speech. My mother said that she was tired. So we have used this conjunction to connect the reporting verb and the reported speech. Now children, when you have to attempt the questions related to dialogue writing, completing the dialogue or reporting a dialogue, okay, we will be practicing these kinds of exercises once we finish learning the reported speech. So you need to be very careful while using the tenses. Okay, when you are changing the sentences from the direct speech to the indirect speech, or when you are reporting the dialogue. Now, let's look at some of the rules for changing the direct speech into the indirect speech, or what are the rules you need to remember when you are doing exercises while reporting the dialogue. Now, children, please look at your screen very carefully, and I would also request you to click a picture of the rules of changing the direct speech into the indirect speech, which I will be explaining it to you, so that you can later on revise while you are studying, right? So I would like you to click a picture of the rules that we will be discussing now of changing the direct speech into the indirect speech, so that it will help you later on when you are revising your lessons at home. Okay, here we go. Rules for changing direct into indirect speech. Now, he said, I write a letter. Now, said is the reporting verb or the introductory verb. I write a letter is the reported speech. Now, rule 1. If the reporting verb is in the past tense, the reported speech or the indirect speech must also be in the past tense. And the present tense is changed into the past tense, the past into the past perfect, and the future into future conditional tense. Now, the examples of the changes in the tense that we need to make. The simple present becomes the simple past. Let's look at the example. He said, I write a letter. This is the direct speech. He said that he wrote a letter. Indirect speech. She said, I eat pudding. She said that she ate pudding. Okay. Now here, the reporting verb said is in the past tense. So, he said, the conjunction that, he wrote. Write, the present tense has been changed into past tense. Wrote a letter. Here, she said that she ate. The present tense of the verb has been changed into the past tense. So, the simple present becomes the simple past. Please remember this. Now, the present continuous becomes the past continuous. For example, he said, I am writing a letter. This is a direct speech. He said that he was writing a letter. Since we have learnt all the different forms of tenses, so it will be easy for you to change the sentences from the direct speech to the indirect speech. Like the present continuous will become the past continuous. I am writing a letter will become he. The pronoun will also change. I will become he. He was writing a letter. I am writing a letter will become was writing a letter. She said, I am eating pudding. She said that she was eating pudding. Okay. Now the present perfect becomes the past perfect. Example, he said, I have written a letter. He said that he had written a letter. So, have written becomes had written. Present perfect have written, past perfect had written. You remember the table, children, which we had tried to look at of all the 3 different tenses and the 4 different forms. How the present continuous changes to the past continuous. How the present perfect changes to the past perfect. Okay. Now, the present perfect becomes the past perfect. Okay. He said, I have written a letter. He said that he had written a letter. She said, I have eaten pudding. She said that she had eaten pudding. Okay. Now, the present perfect continuous becomes the past perfect continuous. Example, he said, I have been writing a letter. So, he said that he had been writing a letter. Have been writing, had been writing. Okay. She said, I have been eating pudding. She said that she had been eating the pudding. The simple past becomes past perfect. Okay. If the reported speech is in the past tense, then it will become the past perfect. For example, he said, I wrote a letter. So, in the direct speech, the tense in the reported speech is I wrote. Wrote is already the second form of the verb, the past tense. So if there is past tense and the reporting verb is also in the past tense, he said. So he said that he had written a letter. Wrote becomes written, the third form. Had plus third form. Okay. She said, I ate pudding. Again, ate is the second form of the verb. Past tense of eat is ate. So, she said that she had eaten. The third form, had plus third form. Eat, ate, eaten. So, the simple past becomes the past perfect. Okay. Now, the past continuous becomes past perfect continuous. Okay. Please look at the sentences very carefully, children, and try to understand. Okay. The simple past became past perfect. Past continuous will become past perfect continuous. For example, he said, I was writing a letter. He said that he had been writing a letter. Okay. She said, I was eating pudding. She said that she had been eating pudding. I hope the tenses are becoming clear to you, and now you might feel why it was important to learn the tenses before you learn the reported speech. The past perfect and the past perfect continuous, there is no change. For example, he said, I had written a letter. I had written is already past perfect. So he said that he had written a letter, no change. In the past perfect and in the past perfect continuous. Please listen carefully. No changes in the indirect speech or the reported speech. He said, I had been writing a letter. He said that he had been writing a letter. So you have to remember this very carefully. Now, the future tense becomes future conditional tense. For example, he said, I will write a letter. We had learned that we use will or shall for the future tense. So he said, I will write a letter. Okay. So he said that he would write a letter. So will changes to would. Okay. She said, I shall eat pudding. She said that she would eat pudding. Here, note the changes that is made in the different verbs. Will is changed to would. Shall is changed to should. Can becomes could. May becomes might. Has or have becomes had, and am, is, are. All the present tense becomes was or were. Was for the singular and were for the plural. So you need to remember this. You need to keep looking at this. That's why I asked you to click a picture of these rules. So you need to keep looking at the changes which we need to make while we are reporting the dialogues. So the more you keep looking at them while you are revising, the more perfect you become in the uses of the different tenses and the various changes that you need to make while you are changing the sentences from the direct to indirect speech. Now, rule 2. Rule 1 was regarding all the tenses, isn't it? The present will become the past, or the past will become the past perfect. So, the rule 1 was related to all the changes we would be making regarding the different tenses. Now, if the reporting verb is in the present or future tense, the tense of the verb is not changed in the indirect. Now, we are talking about the reporting verb. For example, he says, I write a letter. In rule 1, we had seen the reporting verb was in the past tense. He said. she said. Okay. Now here he says. Says is the present tense. Okay. Or he will say, that is the future tense. So if the reporting verb is in the present tense, that is he says, I will write a letter. So that means there will be no change in the reporting verb also, in the reported speech also. For example, he says that he writes a letter. So look at the verb also. Look at the verb write. Because in the reporting verb was in the present tense. So the reported speech also will be in the present tense. Look at the verb. I write a letter. He says that he writes a letter. Okay. The verb will also be in the present tense. Okay. She says, I am eating pudding. Okay. She says that she is eating pudding. The present tense. Okay. It is not she said. It is she says or he says. That means now. He writes a letter. She is eating pudding. Now he says, I will kick you. He says that he will kick him. Okay, future tense. He says, I will kick you. He says that he will kick him. He will say, I write a letter. Okay, he will say, look at the reporting verb carefully. Now he will say means is the future. He will say in future, I will kick you. That is why he says that he will kick him, or he will say, I write a letter. He will say that he writes a letter. Because say is in the present tense. Will say. Okay. When we talk of the future also, we use the first form of the verb. So he will say that he writes a letter. So the verb will also be in the present tense. Now, she will say, I have eaten pudding. She will say that she has eaten pudding. Okay. I write a letter. He writes a letter. I have eaten pudding. She has eaten pudding. Not she had eaten pudding. Not the past perfect. Okay, present perfect. She has eaten pudding. Children, let us go back to the rule. If the reporting verb is either in the present tense or in the future tense, then it does not change while you are reporting the sentence also. No change in the reported speech. I hope rule 2 is clear to you. Now let's move to rule 3. If it is a statement, the conjunction that is used after the reporting verb. Okay, like we had discussed in the beginning about the use of the conjunction that. Look at the example. He said, I am happy. So we need to connect these two, the reporting verb and the reported speech. He said that he was happy. We use the conjunction that because it is a statement. I am happy. I am tired. I will help you. I will go to school today. So when there is a statement, okay, then we use the conjunction that. Okay. Now rule 4. The first and second person in the direct speech should become the third in the indirect speech. Okay. For example, he said, I watch a film. I is the first person. Okay. I is the first person. I watch a film. Now he said that he watched a film. Third person. If in the direct speech you have either the first person or the second person, both will change to the third person. Okay, please look at the examples very carefully. He said, I watch a film. He said that he watched a film. I, first person, has become he, the third person. She said, you are lazy. Okay, you, the second person. I am the first person, you is the second person, and then he or she is the third person. So she said, you are lazy. She said that they were lazy. Children, do you remember I had told you about the use of you in English? It is used for one person or in the singular form also, and it is also used for the plural. So she said, you are lazy. That means she is talking to a group of students or a group of people. So she said that they were lazy. Are becomes were, since they is plural. So you need to look at everything while you are changing the sentences from the direct to the indirect speech. You have to look at the tense, you have to look at the person, whether it is in the first person or in the second person, then it will become the third person. What about the reporting verb? You need to look at everything, the singular, the plural, okay? Now let's look at the changes you need to remember. I is changed into he or she. The change in the persons, the first person and the second person becoming the third person. I is changed into he or she. We, they. You, either they, he or she. I told you, if it is for singular, you can use either she or he according to the gender. And if you are using it for the plural, then you will change to they. My will change to his or her. Again, my, if it is a boy, it will become his. If it is a girl, it will become her. Then our will become their. And your will become their, again his or her. In the same way we do for you, it is for your also. Your also can be for singular, and your also can be used for the plural. Okay, your will change into their or his or her. Okay, now me will change into him or her. Okay, now let's look at rule 5. If the person addressed to reports the speech, the second person in the direct becomes the first person in the indirect. For example, he said to me, you are a fool. So he is telling me that I am a fool. So he said to me that I was a fool. She said to me, you are a liar. She said to me that I was a liar. So if the you is addressed, okay, or if the person addressed to reports the speech. If I am reporting a speech, then you is addressed to me, so it will become I. Okay. Look at rule 6. Words expressing nearness in time and place are generally changed into words expressing distance. For example, he said, I am ready here now. So it will become, he said that he was ready there. The words which represent nearness will represent the things which are far. Okay. She said, I came 2 months ago. She said that she had come 2 months before. So now, please note these changes. Now becomes then, this becomes that, these becomes those, here becomes there, ago becomes before, thus becomes so, today, that day, tomorrow, the following day or the next day, yesterday becomes the day before or the previous day, and last night becomes the night before, and next week the following week or following year, and last week will become the previous week. So please note down these changes because it is very important for you to remember these changes. So children, I hope the rules which we discussed today, we could discuss only some of the rules today. In the next class, we will be discussing some more rules of changing the direct speech into the indirect speech. I hope you have noted down or clicked a picture of the rules we have learned today, and keep looking into the rules and try to practice some more sentences. Today we practice some examples for each rules. So you try to write down more sentences in the same way so that you learn the use of the tenses and learn the rules, whatever we have learned today, and try to change the sentences. I hope you will practice writing more examples of whatever we have learned today and try to remember the rules. In the next class, we will continue with the same topic and we will learn some more rules, and then we will also practice some exercises related to your question paper. I hope until then, take care, stay safe, stay at home.